Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, January 22, so less than a month, I would say, now, till February 20th, when YouTube plans on kicking everybody out like me, or kicking us out of the partner program, which I still suspect is part of the first step to larger steps, because it's actually the second step. I mean, they had already said you needed 10,000 views before you can get in there. And for me, a couple things. Like, in the time since this was first announced and now, I went from 222 subscribers to 224 subscribers, which would sound like, okay, I got 2 subscribers, except for I've earned probably about 12 new subscribers. YouTube's old bug, quote unquote, is shockingly showing up right now. I imagine it never was a bug. I imagine it's intentional, and I imagine they've programmed it even more so it is dropping old subscribers in the same number as I am gaining new subscribers. Either that is what's happening, or the fact that I, in an effort to be kind to my fans, subscribed back to them, and that reminded people that they were subscribed to me, so they unsubscribed to me. My channel, I mean, who would do that? I would hate to think that any of my fans had done that, but maybe there were some bots that had subbed to me and they were just waiting for me to sub back, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe YouTube looks at it and says, if a creator and a fan are both subscribed to each other, those don't count, and it has to be a one-way system. YouTube kind of does want that. They do say no subs for subs schemes, but that certainly has never been majorly enforced. PewDiePie can sub to whoever he wants to, and almost anybody who PewDiePie would sub to would probably sub back to him. Does that mean those 2 subs don't count? Maybe they don't. On PewDiePie's 60 million subs, who would be able to tell? So I tweeted out somebody that I think people should subscribe to other than me, because at this point it feels like it's not going to happen. It does seem like everything is fine to not work that way. It seems like I'll still be able to run this channel. That being said, tonight, if you go to at 10 p.m. Central Time, if you go over to Twitch, I am premiering a test video of my intro. Now, to find me on Twitch, you'd have to search Rydo of all with underscores in between it. So RYDO_OF_ALL. That's my account that I've done nothing to, and I don't have a link to anywhere. But I'm going to premiere my intro, and I've already uploaded the one video talking about YouTube kicking people out to it. This is a temporary experiment right now on Twitch to see just if the new systems that they just announced will let you keep videos, keep uploads, and which of the several processes there are now will let you keep videos. Because if I can't keep the videos more than 30 days, more than 60 days, more than forever, which to get to forever is almost impossible. You have to be a big Twitch streamer and have special permission. Then going to Twitch doesn't make any sense. Like, I could re-upload every 30 days all of my channel. I found a website that will automate the process, copy over all the tags, the descriptions, and things like that. It doesn't quite do playlists, but it does everything else. Let's see, today we only need to do really one thing, so if I just play, let's try to win 3 games with the Hunter. Let's see, no Tavern Brawl until Wednesday, I guess. Yeah, I don't imagine that they would be very happy with people uploading and re-uploading and re-uploading and re-uploading every single video you have on YouTube to Twitch just to make sure it's still there. There's a funny thing about Twitch that they say they delete videos. It's really just a curation of their servers more than anything, because legally, assuming they're following the laws, they kind of need to keep all these videos for at least 6 months, I would say, just in case one of the videos that gets posted turns out to be a like terrorist video or a hate speech or something that would be used in criminal or civil court. So somewhere on Amazon servers, these files are being backed up. They're probably being backed up to like tape drives and not hard drives eventually, and maybe that process is very, very fast compared to what YouTube is doing, where YouTube seems like it for the most part is keeping everything on hard drives. I guess I'll play this. But if Twitch changed the rules on that and said, look, these videos will stay up forever, people can search them, people will find them, we're going full competitor with YouTube as far as game streaming, IRL, podcasts, and creative things and competitive eating, then that to me would work. It would work for me. It wouldn't work for a lot of other small YouTubers, certainly. There's still a ton of small YouTubers that are not in those categories that are going to either have to suffer as Twitch decides whether they will allow things or not. Twitch still does not have any kind of video editing that I know of, which makes it makes it a little bit harder, because Twitch also kind of has as strict, if not stricter, control rules. So things like Honey Pop 2, you wouldn't probably be able to play at all. And as I was move things over from YouTube to Twitch, Honey Pop would probably get uploaded, and then that potentially would hurt or maybe even get my channel deleted in the process. So I don't know how I can really avoid doing that, though, because the whole process would have to be automated, and so I'd have to just kind of upload it and then hope I could unpublish things. Twitch is missing a lot of features. It doesn't have end cards. It doesn't have editing. It doesn't have content ID, which I suppose is a problem that I may not have to deal with anyways, because if my entire channel is demonetized, YouTube may just stop sending me emails going, somebody's claiming the copyright on your video. They may just go, yeah, whatever, take money from his videos. And isn't that infuriating as a thought that YouTube would say your videos aren't worth making any money. You're not a valid creator. But if somebody else wants to make money off of what you did, they're totally allowed to. They've already been sending that message, but that's kind of it. I guess in general, I do want people to subscribe to my Twitch channel, just so I have subscribers and we get ready. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of process. I'm still hoping that that YouTube gets a major shakeup. A lot of people at the top get fired. Frankly, they need to be fired or reassigned at least. And there's just enough outrage in there. But there really doesn't seem like there is a lot of outrage. People don't care. The way YouTube has set itself up, you really don't see the channels that have less than 100,000 channels, and I've been looking at every single channel I'm subscribed to, and Half Coordinated, the one I shouted out, is the only channel I'm subscribed to that has less than like 100,000. Maybe there's one other channel I'm sub to that has 90,000. And when I go to the suggestions pages and I'm looking at things that YouTube is suggesting to me, every single channel has at least 100,000 subscribers. And half of the things being suggested to me are stolen content. Like, this is Family Guy getting uploaded. This is a Peppa Pig live stream. Almost everything on the live tab of trending is stolen content that I see. So either YouTube's got me pegged as somebody who really loves stolen content, or live streaming in general is just that. But they all have well over 100,000 subscribers, and they all will continue to be monetized. So it's not gonna stop anybody except for the newest person ever that wants to upload and steal content. But that's not really even going to stop them, because the people that know what they're doing are going to have, you know, like spam bots and view bots to get a channel going before they even start uploading the stolen content. Frankly, you know, if I had a channel that had 1,000 subscribers and 24,000 watch hours, then I very well might think, you know what, this channel's at that point only making me $100 or so. Why not just sell the channel to some nefarious person? That's really what I would think. Is just like, you probably would make more money in the long run, not even in the short run, but in the long run, if you just sold a channel for here's my channel for $500. Go wild with it and start uploading stolen content on that channel monetized. That would probably make you more than just sitting at 1,000 subscribers waiting to make a few pennies a day. So every time I get into this, I guess I'm a little bit more bitter about this every time. I tried on the weekend to talk about that. I keep mentioning Half Coordinated, but the reason why I shouted out Half Coordinated is he barely has 2,000 subs, and he's a speedrunner. He has paralysis on half of his, or semi-paralysis on one half side of his body, so he can only play with one controller, and he speedruns, and you probably have seen him at Awesome Games Done Quick. but his direct YouTube site is not very well followed, and I don't know how much watch time he has, but if he has only 2,000 subscribers, I imagine he probably will be kept in a partner program, but he might get kicked out. So if there's somebody that you think he's somebody I think has a chance, if everybody goes and watches his videos and gets him some watch time, to stay until at least they come back around and say that everybody needs, 8,000 hours of watch time and 2,000 subscribers, which is almost certainly the next thing that's going to happen. And that's why this whole system is ridiculous. But if anybody else knows of any channel they're sub to that has over 1,000 or around 1,000 that they want me to shout out, I'll shout them out. But as for my channel, yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't think 800 subs are gonna magically come. There are people out there, they're on forums that are trying to sub to each other and basically support each other. I might put out some more tweets. On the weekend, I tried to do a weekend marathon. I totally screwed it up. The audio was not louder. People got on the chat, but I couldn't see the chat, nor could I do anything with my computer. So, in that effort to, I was doing Legos all Friday and Saturday. A very big Lego set. Too big. It had too many pieces, and let's see, I can tell you right now how many pieces. 4,002 pieces. Lego set 10255, which is a giant 3-story tall, 3-building plaza. Very detailed, expert level. And it had 6 steps, and each step took probably 4 hours. It needed desperately to have at least one more step that cut out some of the work from the previous steps. Because by the time I was at the end of the 6th step, I was making mistakes and frustrated, and Lego shouldn't be that frustrating, even when you're putting together 4,000 pieces. Which is an incredible amount. Usually a set barely has 1,000. So that's what I was doing Friday and Saturday after streaming the Friday stream. And then the way I'd set up the marathon is with an ad blocker on, which that's another thing. At this point, everybody vote your conscience, but I'm thinking I'm going to have an ad blocker on by default on all of YouTube. And unless I find a channel with less than 100,000, because that's really my marker. Unless I find a channel where YouTube is not suggesting that channel, like, I don't want to give any money to any of the channels. I would like to see the fallout from this be YouTube kicks out all the small YouTuber channels, and in retaliation, or just in coincidence, everybody's losing. Hey man, keep catching your streams. What? You're getting a lot better at Hearthstone. Keep up the good work. Oh, great. Thanks, I suppose I'll type in. Like, I'm not sure I particularly agree I'm getting better at Hearthstone, but okay. If he thinks I'm getting better, I'll take the compliment and move on. If anything, I would say I'm focusing less and less with every stream on actually playing Hearthstone, and more on covering video game news and talking, and most recently ranting about YouTube's problems. But yeah, I would say everybody just should use an ad blocker. Don't get YouTube Red. don't give any money to any of the channels. If anything, I think YouTube has stabbed themselves in the foot, and if all the money got drained out of YouTube and all the big streamers, which streamers have already said they're going to Twitch, but if a significantly larger amount of streamers came out and said, we're leaving, we're not making any new content on YouTube because we're not making any money, so go over to Switch, therefore Twitch starts to add more features and catch up, then I guess we can just start over. Maybe this really is just the MySpace transition to Facebook, and we're probably would be around the time to transition from Facebook as a social media service if it weren't for the fact that there's nothing really to transfer over to. Twitter certainly didn't work as a social service, and neither did Google Plus or any other attempt. And Facebook is at the very least announcing that they're going to focus more on showing friends and family instead of putting ads in front of people, which that's a nice change. But yeah, ad blocker, if somebody has less than 10,000, maybe turn off the ad blocker, reload the page, watch their video with ads, watch all the ads through, then turn the ad blocker back on. But I am certainly not in the mood to support people like PewDiePie when they all seem to be touting something that they were told to say, or the opinion that YouTube was making, that creators don't deserve to be fairly compensated. Like, that's what this comes down to, is for me, my channel, the number of views, I wasn't getting paid a lot, but I thought I was at least being fairly compensated. Now they're telling me I was being overpaid at being paid a fraction of a penny for every view. Like, that I actually didn't deserve anything. Like, that's not realistic. Now, I could certainly make the other argument I wasn't being fairly compensated for the amount of time I was putting in it, and then if they were paying me like minimum wage for all the hours I put into making content, I should have been paid a lot more, but I won't go there. I'll just say I felt like I was getting a fair share, an equal share of the pie, which was getting split up amongst a lot of people. And the other issue is the reason they're kicking out people is ridiculous and doesn't solve anything. Like, I might actually feel a little bit better about this if a few months from now we find that there actually is a lot less garbage on YouTube, but that's not the case. Like, you could take a crazy optimistic view and think, well, maybe a bunch of people will decide to quit YouTube, and because they quit YouTube, my videos will get recommended more. I don't think so. Not unless YouTube starts deleting channels and the content that already exists. I would have sworn that was an immune secret. Anyways, I don't want to talk about YouTube anymore. Let's move on. I wanted to talk about the live stream though. So because the live stream was taking up my whole computer, you were just seeing what I was watching. I was watching my playlist just go through it. In fact, my playlist wasn't even set to random, and I wanted it to be. So for 27 hours, it was just cycling through one season of what my channel was. And the audio was horribly messed up. I know my old recordings, the audios were a little quiet, but also I could have fixed some of that. I don't know if I'll ever do another marathon though. I need to get a second computer who would do that. Let's see, this guy wants to test a deck. I'll say sure. Let's just go ahead and concede. Why not? Let's help somebody else out. Let's do a good deed for the day. So yeah, I would need upload time because I couldn't upload while I'm streaming. So if I was going to do a rerun marathon, if I was going to do something like that, then it wouldn't really. I would need to not be uploading anything, which would kind of mean I would need to not be recording anything, and I would need a second computer to run the stream so I could actually play games on my main computer. Like, I couldn't do anything while that was streaming. I was literally unable to browse Twitter, unable to move the mouse. The mouse was on a second screen. I couldn't even change the TV. There was one point where I changed the TV and I was gonna watch just TV on my TV, and that didn't even work right. So I had to, since my computer and my TV are in my bedroom, I was sleeping with 2 TVs on, just so the setup didn't happen. And I couldn't stand it, frankly. After going 27 hours, I was ready. Let's see. I was ready to get back to Resident Evil 5. I've made my own version, or at least trying, of Dragon Priest. Okay. Now I'm supposed to be marked as busy so people can't comment, but it doesn't work. So this guy's getting really lucky. Really lucky. But whatever. Yeah, I literally couldn't stand it, and that realization that I desperately wanted to go back to RE5 and play that, and I finally finished the main story on RE5 and looked at the Mercenaries mode. Versus mode doesn't seem like there's anybody playing or the servers are online, so there's some achievements there that would probably never actually happen. This, and then this, and then this, and we'll tack here. Are we playing wild? Yes we are, obviously. You don't have to ask me, you can look right here and see. Huh. Although, for me, and this European account, it's not like I have any wild cards anyways. So that's less of an issue than you might think. That one could have played something different. Let's go ahead and protect this guy. Attack this guy in the turn. So there was a story about I think his name is David Cage, being accused of having a Quantic Dreams, being accused of having a toxic workforce, and having poster pictures in which people's heads are photoshopped on other people and it being offensive, and then that the Kotaku article wrote the story from the perspective of these photographs that according to Jim Sterling, who actually did some actual form of news reporting, although his video also spent half the time talking about him playing wrestling in his local wrestling wrestling group. So he's still not my favorite in any form or fashion. But he got contacted by somebody who is an employee of Quantic Dreams, and they gave a very different story. Kotaku's story was weak to begin with because it was written around this idea that some employee somewhere, as a joke, got bored and made a bunch of like pictures they thought were funny. Further information came out that the hardcore ones, the ones that might have been offensive, were kept in a separate folder, and so there was even, it seems, a level of control happening in that, where he was not trying to release the more offensive ones. Like, where the most offensive one I've heard and seen is David Cameron. No, I don't know if it's, or is it David Cage? I think it's David Cage. The CEO himself, with his head being put on a porn star's image, and it's a joke porn star image where it's a guy with his shirt off holding a drill with a marital aid / dildo attached, which you don't do because that will, not only is it not safe because the drill will just drill right through the rubber of the marital aid, but it's also too rough a motion. I don't know why people keep thinking it's a good idea and making their own homemade marital aids. Amazon exists. Just order it. It'll show up in a Amazon.com box, and nobody will be none the wiser. In fact, there was a funny video that came out this week where this kid is opening a box he ordered from Amazon, and inside the box is, from my perspective, not being an expert, a very nice looking bong. And he says to his mother, I ordered a Microsoft remote, and then somebody made a video where it's the exact opposite, and they open the box and there's a Microsoft controller in it, not a Microsoft remote, which is what I assume what they were going for. And the kid says, I ordered a bong. We'll see if he wants to play again. Let's see. Hey dude, you play Wild Rice? I fancy crafting 3 legendaries, but I only have enough deaths for 1. These are legendaries. Man, everybody's chatting me here. I'm about to leave. This is gonna break down. There are 3 legendaries to deck that I'm looking to play. Is obviously Reno Priest, but I'm struggling to find what cards performs best. Well, I'd like to ask you for your input. Input is look online. Let's see. Check online for the cards value like HS replay. I'll just do that. I don't know. I'm not even gonna put it in here. It's just I don't know. Yeah, see, and this is no way to run a stream. This is just no way to do a stream at all. Like, thanks, you made my day. Like, I'm streaming. This is why I don't allow this. It's like why I'm here. Let's just, while we're at it, let's just see if we can fix this, because this is just gonna keep happening. Busy. Online. Busy. There we go. Let's see. I'm just gonna go ahead and end the turn here. So yeah, I'm trying to talk about the story and getting distracted, and this is kind of there are different forms of trolling, some of which even people who aren't trolls do, and the distraction troll is kind of what's happening here, whether it's intended or not. People are gonna just keep asking questions, keep talking, keep changing the subject, and I'm just gonna bounce off the walls because heck, I'm a little ADD, and that's well, at the very least I'm prone to distraction, and if people ask me questions, I have this inert desire to respond to them, even when I should probably just ignore it. And so if anybody else pops up any messages, I'm just gonna ignore it, and I'm not even gonna read it, so I can get through this story. There's also concerned trollings where people ask you questions and they act like they're concerned, but really they're just trying to keep you talking, and it's like distraction trolling. It's almost probably the same thing, actually. And then there's, of course, just good old-fashioned regular trolling where people are just saying stupid things and saying too much. Or, you know, you can even have people that just talk too much. They post too often for me to follow. And see, that doesn't even get into the fact that these people are commenting to me through battle.net, which means they're not commenting through the YouTube chat system, which means these videos not getting recommended to anybody because of that. I need that engagement if I'm ever going to grow my channel, which my goal still is to grow the channel, right up until the point where I completely abandon it and mark it as private or delete it. My goal will always be to grow this channel, just to get the numbers higher. But back to David Cage. So, well, I don't know how. The thing is, Kotaku's story sucked, and it made a bunch of allegations that were unrelated to the picture. Turns out the allegations that are unrelated to the picture are the fact that, according to Jim Sterling's internal source, current employee that works there, so it is possible David Cage himself is just emailing Jim Sterling, but one has to assume that Jim Sterling's not so stupid as to fall for that, or that some like PR person is emailing him. Maybe some PR person is emailing him. Like, Jim Sterling does not like David Cage, so if he's coming to the bat and trying to explain things at all, or even over Jim Sterling's own SJW desires to always support anybody who claims to be a victim, there's some real meat there. Basically what happened in 2013, the person got bored, or no, I think it was in 2017, so it's pretty recent. The employee who made the photos and had them, I guess, in some publicly accessible folder, got bored, and maybe not even the employee who made them, but a different employee, possibly, got bored and sent all of the photos to all of the people on email. So it's one of those, oops, I emailed everybody a link to all of these. and nobody was particularly offended about it except for the IT department. And I've worked in some IT departments that are disgruntled, and this sounds about right. They were upset at these photos allegedly, but I would argue they may very well have been upset with something completely different, and they demanded that the employee be fired and that they be paid monetary compensation. And see, this is where I will editorialize and say, again, this feels like the French being difficult to deal with. Like that the entire IT department is upset because one person acted unprofessionally, therefore they want money and the person to be fired. That's pretty crazy. That's not something that normally would happen. And they didn't get either one of their demands. And so then they stopped the entire IT department, according to this employee from Quantic Dreams. Took a bunch of sick leave and days off and stopped doing their work and stopped doing anything, and they effectively went on a strike. I don't know if it was an official strike. I guess it wasn't, since nobody's using that phrase. And thanks for the games. My phone's about to die. Sorry, if we can send you deck lists for you to try. No, thanks. Not on this account, at least. There's no reason to send me a deck list on this account. I mean, you can message it to me, but I'm just not right now in the business of trying out people's deck lists, even on my main account. I'm not interested in playing more Hearthstone that would require. So yeah, the entire IT department went on a semi-strike over this, and I imagine other things, more realistic things. And as an act of revenge, they put out this story, is what it sounds like. And that certainly is a different twist. Ignoring David Cage's attempts to defend himself, whether they were effective or not, it doesn't really matter. It seems like the real story here is employees got fired because they weren't doing their job. They're upset. Now they're publishing a revenge story. Again, if I was to editorialize this, it seems very much French people being difficult. And I've seen that before, certainly. So I hope the story evolves more and more details come out, but I don't know. Deadshot came on the YouTube chat and goes, I apologize for that, didn't realize you were streaming, and dude, stay chill. You want to talk, then talk to your online buddies. Yeah, I have a slight fear of calling people online fans buddies, because what is that movie called The Fan, where somebody is there's the one movie at least called The Fan, where somebody's a fan of somebody, some actress or actor, and they get obsessive about it and turn into a crazy serial killer or stalker thing. And even on smaller scales, a lot of people, like, how many people out there of the 60 million PewDiePie subscribers think they're actually friends with PewDiePie because they see him all day? That number is disturbingly larger than one. Like, because there are people out there. So it's always, my point there, which I'm not making very well, is it's always important for people to have real world friends and then have people who entertain them. And remember that I'm just the mime on the street. Personally, I'm not their real friend. I'm not going to lend you $20 if you need it. I'm not going to pick you up from jail. And there's certainly things I don't talk about on YouTube that are private that I would talk about with real friends of mine. But I understand what people mean. It's just I don't like the phrase friends. But also I don't want to beat up on Deadshot Vet because I'm speaking very generally. Let's move on with the news because there's quite a lot. Facebook signs an esports streaming agreement with the Counter-Strike Go Pro League and ESL 1. So I think that's an old news. Didn't that already get announced? So Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Go will be streamed directly to Facebook. Good for them. I still don't think Facebook is the right place to stream videos, though. Maybe the new Facebook will fix some of those things. I guess that is a possibility. If Facebook becomes more family friendly, maybe a small channel like mine would, when people follow that, would actually see my videos. I don't know. What we would have to see. This would be the point for at the same point where Twitch is stepping in to replace YouTube. If Facebook also stepped up to replace YouTube, that would be more competition. And Twitter is in a weird point. So there's this company called Twitch, This Week in Tech. Twitch came out of G4, the TV show. Leo Laporte runs Twitch. Leo Laporte is kind of a jerk SJW, but ignore that for a second. That doesn't really mean anything. I'm just throwing it out there to slander the man. I guess. To put my opinions out there. And over the years, as I've seen more and more of Leo Laporte, I've wanted to watch less and less of Twitch, which kind of sucks because Twitch is the most detailed, varied series of podcasts talking about news in the tech industry. So they have things like This Week in Tech is the first one in the name of the company, but then there was also, they expanded to This Week in Google, This Week in computer hardware, This Week in enterprise tech, This Week in Apple. Let's see, what else is there? There's pretty much any major topic tech related. There is a podcast that happens either on the daily or the weekly on their network. And so it's a very heavy thing. And it's been in existence before Twitter. The creator of Twitter has been interviewed on This Week in Tech a couple times. Leo Laporte has actual conversations and written correspondence between him and Twitter. And Twitter specifically, the creator of Twitter specifically agreed and said they would never become a video audio streaming site because it would cause confusion, Twitter and Twitch. Well, apparently Twitter is actually planning to become a video streaming and audio streaming service, and so Twitch is suing them. This might be the last gasp of Twitch trying to be something, because Twitch, in theory, was trying to be like a YouTube. It was trying to be this platform, except for it was a very curated platform of very specific topics. And in the same time, you would have had things like the CNET's 404, Buzz Out Loud, and I think there was a third podcast on CNET. All of those podcasts are daily gone. Leo Laporte has fired and irritated several people who were presenters on the Twitch network to the point where they're not there. And so you have things like Veronica Belmont and the Daily Tech News show, and NSFW got the NSFW with Brian Brushwood, and who's the other guy? I forget it. So people came out of that, and that was part of my problem with Leo Laporte, is that eventually he's just alienated and kicked out all the entertaining people, and he blacklists them. He literally blacklists them so that they are never allowed back on the show. His wife also runs the business side, so it's a very incestuous family affair thing. It's being poorly run. The concept of Twit would work greatly if it was just under different management. Anyways, so Twit is suing Twitter, so that might actually stop Twitter from ever doing what it should have done too, which is right now it should be saying you can put your videos directly on Twitter, and we can make YouTube channels and transfer them that way. That would be cool. Although I'm not sure Twitter is ever going to succeed as the one-stop shop for anybody, because it's still impossible to have friends and family follow each other on Twitter without also being overwhelmed by seeing other famous people's tweets. Deadshot Vet, if you don't mind me asking, don't share if you don't want to. How old am I? I'm old, too old to be trying to start a YouTube channel now. I don't give a direct age, but I am old enough that I am not even recently out of school. This is my job, on top of taking care of a disabled family member who I need to be near but really don't have to do too much work for. When I am actually going and working, I do spend, or try to spend, 6 to 8 hours a day recording content. But yeah, age is asked a lot. It kind of doesn't fully connect to anything though, because I have seen some, not to get political, but I know somebody who's at least 71 who's in a very powerful political position that acts very childishly. Heck, in fact, if you look in Washington, D.C., you'll see a lot of people that are at least 60 acting very childish. And I've also seen and known some really young kids that are wise beyond their years and smart and caring. If there's one thing that we should argue, is maybe we should have young kids in charge of things, because their emotional connection to humanity as a race hasn't been worn away and jaded through time. It's at least a thought. But yeah, I just say I'm old. Old. I'm not dying yet, just my channel. Middle age, ? Depends when I plan on dying. Like, if I was planning on living to 200, I'm nowhere close to being middle age. If I'm planning on dying at 65, then maybe I'm close to that, closer than I'm not. If I was planning on dying at 20, then I'm past my entire life. Like, really, those are just labels that I encourage people to not use and think of, particularly nowadays when less and less is expected of adults, and adults can just act however they want. The concept of a adult acting like an adult has really been thrown out the window. If you go back 40, 50, 60 years, 100 years, everybody was required to act certain ways and be prim and proper and mature at all times. Even kids 100 years ago were required to act like adults, and were basically brutalized if they weren't. That's why there was many instances of the Native Americans in the United States would kidnap children from the Pilgrims in the United States, pre-United States times, and the children would refuse to come back to their parents when they were rescued because the Native Americans let the kids act like kids and treated them nicer than the parents did. If you look at some of those old-timey pictures where kids are wearing full-time suits, that wasn't by choice. That was just a requirement of it. Deadshot goes, yeah, I mean, there's a saying, you can be young only once, but you can be immature forever. That's true. And then Deadshot goes lol, and then he says that's depressing, XD. Yep. It's hard to even see any mature adults. Like, a great example is my very recent fascination with Legos. I literally never played with Legos as kids. I don't think I was even given one Lego set as a child. I was given Lincoln Logs, which are total garbage of toys, once, but never Legos. And frankly, I didn't really even have any interest in Legos until I saw Tested.com, which is another website about tech stuff that's gone downhill. And they started putting together Legos as content. Part of the reason they did that is because their parents that have kids that played Legos, so they got into Legos as adults too. And so after seeing some of that, I started to get into it. There were specific sets that interested me, particularly the Ghostbusters Firehouse, because I did have a toy when I was a kid that was a Ghostbusters Firehouse, but not Lego. So that was one of the first sets I got. I believe there were... it wasn't the first. First was a Millennium Falcon set. I'm not a super fan of Star Wars or anything, but it looked cool. And I figured, yeah, I'm a nerd. A nerd should have at least a couple Star Wars things on his shelf. I did a pirate ship, and the pirate ship Lego set looked nice on the shelf as if it was just a model of a pirate ship alone, regardless of whether it was built out of Lego. And then I've just kind of spiraled down more and more because people around me, I started showing them videos of people doing Lego and showing off Lego my own creations at events on YouTube. And there's a YouTube channel called Beyond the Brick that I watch a lot of. People got into it more, and I got into it more, and now I am doing quite a lot of Lego these days at a rather old age. So it's not even nostalgia in that case. It's just when I was in my high school years, particularly, I was a stick in the mud, frankly. Honestly, I definitely was overly concerned with acting mature and acting smart, and part of that is I was smarter than all the kids in high school, but part of that is also because the area I was in was not particularly the best in education. Education in the United States is not great anyways, so I wasn't being held to a very high standard. But yeah, I was very, very obsessed with acting mature and being an adult, and that culminated to getting out of school and going into the work environment. And then I was obsessed for a while in the work environment about being professional. All throughout your life, not just me, but most people get this message that there's ways you're supposed to live, there's ways you're supposed to act. The American dream, you're supposed to own a car, you're supposed to own a house, you're supposed to have 2.5 kids and a pet. All of those things are told to you culturally. And I achieved all of that. I owned a house, I owned a car, I had a couple pets, and thankfully no kids. And after having all of that and having a decently paying job and all of that, it all fell apart. And I realized I really didn't want any of that. And so now I'm trying to be more honest with myself and just do what I actually want to do and not do what people expect me, or I think people expect me to do. And so now, if I was 100 years old and I wanted to do a Lego, I'll do a Lego. If I'm 100 years old and I want to watch a cartoon for 2-year-olds, I'll do it and I'll be happy with it, because I've embraced if it feels good, do it as a mantra. Like, I just don't care about pleasing other people at the expense of myself. That being said, I do have a lot of anime on my shelf I still haven't watched, and I can't ever find the right motivation to pull out a DVD and put it in a player. Although I have watched a few on Netflix. I used to be really obsessed with anime. Now I'm kind of a lapsed fan, but I may get back into it. I imagine it seems what happens is every 7 years ago I move from one fandom to another fandom. So yeah. I don't know if I answered the question or not, or just kind of ranted there. But this is the good kind of rants that I used to do all the time on my channel. To be honest, like, I used to talk about myself personally and what was going on in my life, but I exhausted all of that and without prompting the questions from the fans, it's just kind of pointless to repeat things that have been said already. I do want to mention this story because I don't have a link for it, but somebody made a nude mod for Cuphead. Sadly, it's not making Cuphead or Mugman naked. It makes the Medusa character naked, which, alright, she's the female character in the game. There's some other female characters in the game that I guess you might eventually reskin or retexture. But from what I've seen, if anybody wants a nude mod for Cuphead, which is an odd choice, they're going to want to see it for Mugman and Cuphead to be involved. Of course, it's a weird choice to make that at all. But nobody's reported on that, so you're not going to see that one on Your Gamer, PC Gamer, Kotaku. That's one of my secret sources from Well, it's not a direct source to me. I don't want to misrepresent it. It's a website that covers some stranger things straight from Japan, and because of that, they get reports about things that don't get play or coverage here. I need more websites like that where I could talk about stories that aren't just getting repeated and retweeted over and over again. Giant Bomb is a great example of a place that just they don't put out any tweets or anything of news that they create. They're not actually creating any news. They are at the very least now back to doing some quick looks, so they're doing some work at least, but yeah. And PC Gamer, Your Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun are all the same company, so if one of them makes an article, they're probably contractually obliged to retweet or make an article that's exactly the same. Let's see, I need to play Shaman or Rogue cards. Let's see if we can find a Rogue deck that's full of Rogue cards. Yeah, this one is. That'll work. I have not been breaking up my recordings much lately, but I think we've still got a ton of news to go, and we've gone 45 minutes. I might get down to the point where these streams are just minimum an hour long. They usually go an hour to an hour and 45 minutes when I don't break them up anyways, but yeah, I'm gonna break up this one. Let's see. And then we'll come back. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. Today is Monday, January 22nd, and we are doing the European quest. I just need to play rogue cards to get 2 of these done, so that won't be too hard. Play this on casual and go. We were talking about youth and acting your age and how nowadays there really is no acting your age, and there really shouldn't be, and you should just do whatever you feel like if it makes you happy within some reason. And so Deadshot Vet is on here. He said, I only had a plushy tiger to sleep with when I was a child. Fell asleep to Corn Trash, a really edgy song to play to a newborn baby. But apparently has slept like a dream to it at the age of 1. You might know it. I know the band Korn, and I probably don't know Trash as their song because Korn was never really my style. But I could certainly understand why a newborn would like that, because the bass and loud noises permeated the embryonic sac of baby. They permeate the embryonic sac of babies when they're in utero, in the belly, and that's becomes kind of familiar. It's also the reason why if you take a baby and place it on a mother's chest so the baby can hear the mother's heartbeat, they're soothed by that sometimes too. It's these things you hear before you're born and you get used to it. There are parents now that that try to play like Mozart and classical music. I've personally played classical music to babies, and it actually has soothed them. Just having a rhythmic pentameter, I suppose, would be responding. So I wouldn't say your parents are terrible for playing you music. It's not like you're going to learn any of the fast spoken words of corn at the age of 1, and that'll be the first word you ever say. If anything, what they probably did wrong, if they did anything wrong, is I don't think you're supposed to give newborns plushies for fear that they manage to strangle themselves, because newborns will find a way, if you give them a way, to strangle themselves. I think newborns, you're supposed to not have any toys, any plushies, or anything in the sleeping bonnet, sleeping bed. And I hope Deadshot Vet isn't saying that the plushy tiger was the only toy he got in his childhood, because then he really did. Let's see. Deadshot says, I still remember feeling kind of scared, but also slightly thrilled by the music. Well, okay. Some people do seem to remember things a lot better than other people in their youth. I would have assumed that a newborn wouldn't remember any of it, and this would have just been a story that was told to him later. But I've heard people say that they remember seeing their parents change their diapers at 1. If we're comparing things parents did that are probably wrong, that's a deep and dark well to go down. But I was at this, what is it called? It was kind of a daycare, but it wasn't a good daycare, and the lady that was supposed to be watching the kids, instead of watching the kids, was actually watching a movie. And I remember the movie she was watching was like one of those Vietnam movies where somebody was being waterboarded. So I definitely have a distinct memory at the age of maybe 2 to 4 watching this scene of somebody being waterboarded on TV. I don't know if it was Watership Down or Apocalypse Now or something that really wasn't appropriate to have on at all in a room full of children. But whatever, I mean, I have never been able to find a single instance that made me who I am. And so if there was an instance that made me a better or worse person, I don't know. I can't think of any. It's like that Pink Floyd movie, which I love, the Wall. Everything is just a brick in the wall. It just works together and builds up perceptions. And if I were to be a little bit critical about a beloved classic rock opera movie, I would say that there are some instances of things happening to the main character, Pink, in the Wall, that are simplified down to an unrealistic level. For instance, like his father just dying in the war is one of the first things in World War One, I believe. One of the first things that even gets mentioned. Let's see. Deadshot Vet says, "Oh, I was smart, I guess." Yeah. Well, memory. I don't know if that there's different levels of smarts, so being able to remember things is a natural advantage, certainly, but there are certainly a lot of stupid people that remember things. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of dumb people that remember every slight and misstep and insult hurled at them, but if you asked them what is Pythagoras' theorem, they'd go, I don't know, I learned it in high school, but I wasn't paying attention because I was too busy listing off all the insults that have ever happened in my life. Having a good memory can often be a negative. Yeah. A Deadshot said, yeah, it was the only toy I had. Yeah, it's a feeling you begin to associate things with. Deadshot's responding to things I'm saying, and I guess that stuck. Damn, 2 to 4 years old, they see at least you didn't get inspired by that scene. Yeah, I guess I didn't know what it was. Honestly, for decades later, if anything, it might have inspired me not to waterboard somebody, which is horrible, but it might have inspired an interest in BDSM photography, which I'll throw that little nugget out there, is that, yeah, sometimes I frequent artistic photo shoots of bondage and sadomasochism. But I never acted on it. I never waterboarded any of my fellow playmates on the playground or anything. If anything, in my youth, and even now, and pretty much my entire life, I've always been a very peace-loving person who didn't want to fight or hurt people. Yeah, you only had one toy? I think you have grounds to sue your parents at this point then. You need to tell them they're bad parents and that they ruined you, and everything that's ever happened in your life is their fault, because they only gave you one toy. I'm being a little facetious there, but not completely. And even the poorest of poor people, which I've seen, I grew up getting way too many toys, way too many toys, and I would go into other people's houses and they would have like one bookshelf, and on the bookshelf was 20 toys, and that was all they had to their name, and all they ever had. And I thought, wow, that's a very low amount. Basically they were getting one toy every Christmas, and that was it. And then of course they might have been getting clothing and stuff, and there's a lot of non-toy support parents have to give their kids, or should give their kids, such as feeding them, ensuring them their health care, putting clothes on their back as the kids are growing out of the clothes left and right, paying for school, paying for books, things like that. But honestly, it is unacceptably low to give a kid less than one gift per Christmas, even if you don't celebrate Christmas. That's an unacceptably low amount, even at the poorest levels. Go get a stick out of the woods and whittle something. Find something. Beg on the street. Deadshot said that didn't come across as offensive at all. XD. Yeah, lol. I didn't have a proper childhood. Well, work now to give yourself the things you want now. That's all you can really do. It's like a lot of people that a lot of people get locked up into things that happened in their childhood, and it doesn't allow them to live in the now and experience life as it is right now. And I've seen people take it literally to their grave. Like, I've known people who have died and they let their rotten childhoods affect them for their entire life. And guess what? They were never happy. So don't let that happen to you. Deadshot said, instead my parents were teaching me math and Polish, my native language, which meant I knew more than other kids when I finally moved into kindergarten. There's education. Education's good, but there's also time for play. If the human brain doesn't take some time off and it's just constantly trying to learn something new, you're not going to be able to retain as much information. And most toys are actually educational devices in disguise of some sort. Like, even the simplest toy often is an opportunity to teach children how to share, if they are sharing or have any siblings they need to share with. So yeah, toys and education should go hand in hand. Like, playing with Legos as you're a little kid helps you be creative. It helps you understand spatial relations, sizes, shapes. It helps you build up your counting ability and your communication ability. There's really nothing wrong with letting your kid play. I mean, honestly, you could let them play all day. When they get in school, they'll learn things. And nowadays, what you need to learn is so little, because you can just look it up on the internet and get away with being relatively ignorant on most subjects. Yeah, Deadshot says it wasn't 24/7 XD. Let's move back to the news, because otherwise I'm going to sit here and talk to Deadshot and talk about how children should be raised in my eyes for the whole conversation. Guess I could have killed this guy instead. An ex-Sonic team head has joined Square Enix. I'm joining game development as before. So this is Yuji Naka, the former head of Sonic team and the one-time lead programmer on the original Sonic the Hedgehog, has joined Square Enix. Now, I don't know how much credit you want to give to programming in the original Sonic the Hedgehog, because that game, well, I guess it was programmed pretty well, but it wasn't thought out very well. There's many instances in the original Sonic the Hedgehog level layout and enemy placement where you are just going to run into things and lose momentum. You're just going to die. If Sonic came out in modern days, it would have been a it would have been a quick time event ridden style game that had no enemies, that you couldn't see a mile away. But I think, more to the point, the fact that he's moving from Sega says something very bad about Sega. But he's moving to Square Enix, which kind of just says something bad about the number of opportunities in Japan. Let's see, his tweet is just a quick note to let you know I joined Square Enix in January. Square Enix being the Final Fantasy developer, and I'm not sure what else they would be making. Like, here's the question. Let's Google Square Enix. Let's see, Square Enix Wikipedia, and let's see what games they are making. Video games. List of Square Enix video games. Slime Rancher, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Monster Hunter. Like, none of these strike me as particularly like they don't seem like games that cross over. They made a Full Metal Alchemist game for PS2. Interesting. Kingdom Hearts. To go from Sonic to Kingdom Hearts, maybe? Odin Sphere. That would be a weird one to go to. Lots and lots of Final Fantasy games. Star Ocean, Space Invaders Extreme. That might be the closest match so far. Like, honestly, if Sonic had been moved away from Sega after, say, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3, and a new company had put some fresh blood in it, they might have been able to do something better with it. But in a lot of ways, the guy that's in charge of Sonic Team right now has allowed so many bad Sonic games to be released. It's almost a good riddance thing. Square Enix did Nier, so they probably did Nier Automata too, or maybe they just published that. Like, Dungeon Siege 3 in 2011, Dead Island. A lot of these they just published, I'm pretty sure. Deus Ex. I need to get to the bottom of the list to see recent games. Skylanders. I guess Skylanders would make sense if they were going to continue doing Skylanders. Thief. Murder Soul Suspect. Life is Strange. Square Enix publishes way too many games, but he would be working on the original, like, content, the things made by Square Enix, not just published. Nier Automata, again made by Platinum Games but published by Square Enix. And he's said he was going to continue to work in video games at Square Enix, so he's not. Let's see, here we go. We have People Can Fly, has a AAA title unnamed. Don't Nod has Life is Strange 2. That 2 doesn't make much sense. Let's play that. The Avengers Project, maybe. Final Fantasy VII Remake, maybe. Battleborn 1944. The World Ends With You for Nintendo Switch. Kingdom Hearts 3. Secret of Mana. Star Ocean. There aren't too many games that are actually like Sonic, so looking at all these Square Enix games that have been announced, none of that matches. Let's see. I aim to develop an enjoyable game. Please look forward to it. Is the last bit of his tweet. So maybe he's jumping ship because even he recognizes that Sonic Team can't make a game that's fun. And then the quote here is, will Naka work on what Naka will work on that Square Enix remains to be the same? Life is Sonic, question mark. Sonic Soul Suspect, the Tales of Bearsworth Manor, Tales being Tails, probably not. That's a confusing news story, honestly. Rather confusing. Let's see. Deadshot said, he said a while ago, yeah, good point. That's quite funny how we drifted off your regular schedule a bit. That's pretty much how it goes, but I prefer that, honestly. I prefer conversations to drift me off a little bit. Finding the balance is the question. Like, I want to get through some of this news because I know I have a ton of news I want to talk about, but I don't want to ignore my fans either, and I just don't want to go into single conversations that continue and stretch because I will do that. And like, if I was standing in front of somebody and we started talking and they were willing to talk to me for that long, I would very much continue a conversation for hours and hours, and we would just go from one topic to the next topic. So I need to play 50 hunter cards and Murlocs, and I think we are probably in a good place to build a new Murloc deck, or see if we can do that. Let's see, and we're now on our Asian account, which we don't fiddle with. We got another epic. Nice. I'm a little surprised by how fast these new accounts have grown to being actually playable. I thought it would be another 6 months at least before you could start to even think about making a deck and having something that is reasonable. So I'm keeping all the golds here in this account. That being said, though, do I have a Murloc deck? So I come in here and I type in the word Murloc, and I have 190 dust. So I probably could create more Murlocs. And that means I can get rid of things. Trying to get rid of things that aren't actually Murlocs. So there we go, we've got a full Murloc deck, and we'll try to build more. There we go. And those are neutral. Do I have any other Murlocs? Nope. So if I had 40 more dust, I can make that Murloc. And we could do this. And that gets us back to where we were. So a slight change, not a major change. This. And there we go. Play. Play. I guess we'll play wild here. Don't want to talk about jobs, we'll save that for later. Guess what? Surprise, surprise. Another game that looks like a visual novel from Japan is coming to PC. It's called Hakuoki Edo Blossoms. It's coming this spring. Let's see. March 13th in North America, March 16th in Europe. I don't know why there's always a delay there, but whatever. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but there's this YouTube channel called Censored Gaming that talks about how games are localized and censored. A lot of times what they call censored is localized, and the two terms are kind of interchangeable depending on what perspective you're on. And he went through a website that listed like every checkbox you'd have to click to get a game to be rated by the ESRB, the PEGI, the CRO system, the Australian rating boards, all the rating systems. And it was a long video, but it was pretty informative too. He did that several weeks ago though. Yeah, this visual novel has 12 charming bachelors, multiple endings, one true love story, and it's set in the Edo period, so that's a little bit. It's not the Shogun era, I think, where I think the Edo period is right after, like, the emperor told all of Japan they must modernize and wear modern clothes and not carry swords around or with them. That history period, which I'm not very informed about, is rather interesting. That their leader just told them, you need to go from living this isolated traditional way of living to living a completely different and foreign way, and everybody pretty much listened to him and did it. It'd be like if the president of the United States came out one day and said everybody must wear dresses. Like, all the guys must wear dresses, all the girls must wear pants, suits, or something. I don't think very many United States people would listen to him if he said that. Let's see. Do that. And freeze this guy. And then kill this guy, I guess. I guess it would have been helpful to look and see what that did before I attacked him. The cover artist Bob Wakelin has passed away. He's responsible for some of the most iconic game cover artwork in the 80s. Let's see if we can see something. So these games are probably not going to be recognizable to people who didn't have at least something as old or older than a Commodore 64 or an Atari. Something pre-NES era. There's an image here that's called Whizball, and oh, okay, he did a lot of the ocean games, so like the Batman NES ocean game, the Jurassic Park stuff. A lot of these artist things, though, without a bigger. Let me see if I can maybe open this image and let's see. And see if I can zoom in a little bit more. A lot of these images are more along the lines of movie posters that were translated. They may have been like sketched over and traced, but yeah, I'm not seeing a lot here that a normal person would recognize. Whizball, at the very least, looks like it's a original content creation from scratch. Let's see. He also worked on Parasol Stars, Rainbow Island 2, Operation Wolf, and Super Bowl. All games, again, you probably wouldn't recognize. Part of the problem with the video game industry being young, and I suppose for my lifetime at least, it always is going to be younger than most industries, is that unless somebody dies tragically and unexpectedly, they are going to just die of old age, and that means their early years in which they did something somebody would recall are going to be hard to relate to. That was true for the CEO of Nintendo also. He programmed golf for the NES, but which, by the way, they patched out golf for the NES. So after people finding that the golf was in the Switches as a secret, like, tribute to their fallen CEO, they patched it so it's gone. Or as best as anybody can tell, unless it's become completely encrypted or something. It seems kind of ridiculous when they were saying they were doing that as a tribute to their creator, and then all of a sudden they said, no, you can't have it. Moving on with the next story, Epic Games has acquired the cloud processor tech provider called CloudGen. Epic Games, they're the ones that run Dota, right? I should know this. There's too many companies. They run Fortnite, Unreal Tournament, Paragon. All right. So you could see why, with Fortnite having trouble right now with the meltdown and what is it called, Spectre bugs, you could see why they would just buy a company and try to improve their server performance. Rust, the game that everybody has long since forgotten about and stopped playing, is going to finally leave early access in February, but it's not finished yet. Creator Gary Newman says it's not so much a release as it is a start of alpha testing. What? Seriously? This is why you don't get into unfinished games. Like, it literally never ends. Rust has been out for at least 4 years. Like, it debuted December 2013. So 5 years now. Rust has been in early access, and they're saying, well, now we're going to say it's out of early access, but it's still not really finished. I feel bad for anybody that bought Rust expecting it to be a finished game. I don't know how many people actually did buy it expecting that, but I feel bad for anybody that did. Overwatch is teasing some new skins for their players. They're going to come out tomorrow in the cosmetic update. I just watched a video. Honestly, you kind of have to be into Overwatch to care about new skins. Some of these skins look like the references to other Activision Blizzard games. Definitely. Some of these skins look like they're just anime-esque in their style. I would potentially argue that Overwatch, in its trailers and its pixel Disney-like trailers that were trying to be child-friendly, established the Overwatch characters as having their own style. So when you throw in skins that don't follow that style, it gets a little weird. There's definitely an Egyptian theme going on too. I think, if anything, I would have pushed Overwatch to maintain its own visual style and try to put out like animated shorts on a regular basis, so that people that even don't play Overwatch go back every month and say, let's see what's happening in the story, let's see what's going on. I would try to make it one of those multi-platform, multimedia things that probably, and it probably would have failed, so maybe they're doing the right thing, but it does seem weird. Deadshot says, have you heard about DayZ? It's recently becoming beta. After almost a decade, they still hope to find that their old fan base comes back. No, I hadn't heard about DayZ that I recall. I probably covered it, honestly, as a news article, but I totally forgot about it, I imagine, right after I read the article. DayZ is yet another one of those Steam games that got a lot of people popular. I kind of wonder now, all those people that are just playing Roblox and Minecraft and DayZ and the many clones of DayZ and Rust and Conan the Exiles, all those people that just played those games that aren't really that good just to get the views, I wonder if they now are regretting it because of the adpocalypse. And they probably aren't. They're probably doing just fine. They probably have enough subscribers. But they certainly suffered to get it. And that was certainly something I never wanted to do with my channel. Is I never wanted to just chase a fad and play Five Nights at Freddy's because people might watch me. Because that's really expensive when you start buying games brand new, unseen and untested and unreviewed. I may play Five Nights at Freddy's, but I don't want to play it just because people expect it of me. And frankly, I don't want Flippant. I didn't, at least before YouTube started kicking people out. I didn't want Flippant fans. I wanted my 222 subscribers to be people that actually cared about my channel and liked the content I covered and liked how I covered it and wouldn't just show up for one video and leave, because I've had that. I've had videos where people show up for that one video, they find it in the search results, they like or don't like the video, but then they don't come back. So dead subscribers was a big issue on YouTube, and sub for sub was a big issue on YouTube, and in one fell swoop, after that stuff had kind of died down, YouTube brought it right back, because now I would love dead subscribers. I'd love 1,000 dead subscribers that never watch my videos. I'd love sub for sub people that actually work and subscribe to my channel. Moving on, Earth's Dawn is coming to Switch and smartphones on January 25th in Japan. This is an interesting thought. What kind of game is this? Earth's Dawn, side-scrolling combat game that first launched on the PS4 and Xbox One in Japan on September 2015, followed by the PS4, Xbox One, and PC in North America in 2016. I'm gonna go over to the Steam page and see. It's rated very positive, and I haven't heard anything about this game. And that's the problem with the video game industry and Steam, is there's too much, just too much, no curation, too many people trying to make games. So Hearthstone's animation looks a little rough, but it kind of looks like Odin Sphere in its side-scrolling aesthetic, but it has a different artistic style. So the palette is kind of Odin Sphere-esque, but the artistic style is more Warhammer 40k-esque. But it feels fast-paced, and I could see maybe playing a game like this. It's subtitle only, but that probably wouldn't matter too much. All the monsters are kind of robotic, big creatures. Well, I think that'll probably play as well on the Switch as it would anywhere else. It is one of these games that's not gonna use the PC functionality to make giant 3D animations. So it'll be... I might put it on my wish list. I'm gonna look at it again later. PC Gamer has an article. Intel now knows why the Spectre and Meltdown patches are causing reboots. Also, according to what I've heard, Intel wants to install the chips in a way that it won't by default have Spectre and Meltdown protection for their new chips, and the processor, the kernel that you boot up every time you start your computer will have to specifically say, I want this protection, and that way Intel can still sell the processor at the same speeds that they were selling it before, instead of having to bin them as slower speeds because of the performance loss of the protection. Which is kind of fair, and there's an app out there that you can get that can disable the Meltdown and Spectre protections and tell you how much your computer is affected by that. I'm gonna try that app just for fun, but I seriously doubt I would disable the protections. Now I suppose might be the time to disable the protections before there's a in the wild virus or spyware program that is known, because once there is a known virus, you kind of have to enable it. But also, if you have a computer that's just not it's just not connected to the internet, and it doesn't install any programs, and you're just using it for like rendering video or something, you probably wouldn't want that patch enabled. You couldn't afford to lose the 0 to 25% performance that people are showing. Personally, when I ran the 3D Mark benchmark, it was a 2% performance hit at most, but 3D benchmarks GPU, so I'm not sure. But the current patches are causing reboot issues on some Broadwell and Haswell systems, and Intel thinks it knows why, and it's making good progress. So why Microsoft let those patches be pushed without some more vetting is kind of crazy, but and that certainly would hurt my production. If I spent a week on a computer that was rebooting at random times, that would be very, very difficult to record content on that. That would not work at all. I would potentially have to take a week off, and a week off is not something I want to do. Like, I literally don't know what to do with myself if I wasn't recording and playing video games. I suppose I could transition from recording to just playing video games like a normal person, and I suppose I could do that. But if I can't play video games at all, I'd be very irritated, to say the least. Let's move on. NVIDIA has specifically told retailers to prioritize gamers over cryptocurrency miners. NVIDIA is tired of people going into stores and buying every single video card available, TI 1080 Ti. Now, I don't know if they're giving really any incentive to stop a store from selling every single unit to a Bitcoin miner. But I think at the end of the day, there's logic for a store not to sell everything. A sale is a sale, and so on one perspective, you might say, well, of course they should just get all the money, they can get now, and worry about people who might come later and ask for a video card later. Like, just take the money and run is certainly a perspective. But in the longer run, if you're running a store and every day 5 people come in and say, hey, do you have that new NVIDIA video card? And you have to tell those 5 people no, then those 5 people are probably not buying anything else at the store. They're getting a negative association with your store, and they're not having a good sales experience. And so if you could try to avoid that negative sales experience by ensuring that you have as much stock as possible, while still also ensuring you're going to sell all the stock you have, that probably is the better way to run your business. And just put like a hard limit. You can buy 4 video cards at maximum, and that's it. Nobody realistically is going to buy more than $2,000 worth of video cards in one go. Moving on, Mail.ru group has acquired the Russian esports leader ES-Force for $100 million. So it was an all-cash deal. That seems fishy. I don't want to just throw out phrases like money laundering, but that seems really crazy that this Mail.ru group has bought an esports team. Let me try to read. Why would you even do this? The company is a diverse outfit and owns popular esports teams like SK Gaming and Virtus Pro, the 1,000 capacity Yeti Arena esports stadium in Moscow, global esports database Cyberbase, and a variety of trading and analytical platforms. Maybe it's just the name that's the problem here. Russian internet giant Mail.ru. It's like the equivalent if YouTube or Google bought an esports group out of the blue. It seems a little off. Moving on though. Parents, don't forget to register for childcare if you're going to the Game Developers Conference in 2018. I doubt very many, if anybody I know, is actually going to GDC 2018, but the time to register for childcare is February 20th. I would take a moment to say I don't know why in the world you would trust random strangers to watch your kid during the Game Developers Conference. Like, they're talking here in this article about why they're trustworthy, but this is as fly by night as you could get. It's a conference that happens once a year, and there's probably little to no accountability if something happens. If I was going to a big thing, whether it was GDC or PAX or CES, my kid would be right next to me the whole time, and I would be keeping an eye on them. Moving on, Resident Evil 4 HD project shows off the Assignment Ada mode, which I believe Assignment Ada was sort of this DLC. The thing here, though, of course, is Resident Evil 4 HD project is just a fan project that's kind of being ignored by Capcom, or yeah, I think it's Capcom that makes Resident Evil games. And unless the engine gets improved and it runs better on PC, I'm never going to play RE4. So it's nice that somebody is spending the effort to hand redraw all the textures that look like a blurry mess nowadays in 4K. That is great, but without an engine improvement, which they can't really do, and move it to something like Unreal and just by hand reprogram everything, like, I don't know how this project really ends in anything but a cease and desist. Yeah, let's watch the video. How long is this video? 12 minutes. Assignment Ada was kind of a DLC where you play as Ada Wong, a character we see again in Resident Evil 6. Oddly, I just played Resident Evil 5, and come to think of it, why was she not in Resident Evil 5? There's this character called Excella that could have been Ada Wong the whole time, and that would have made sense. That is a question. I don't know if I know the answer. I suppose it's slightly worth mentioning that the people who work on the two-person team, I believe, that work on the Resident Evil 4 remake are playing the game in, I believe, Spanish, because they're from Spain. RE4 is such a better game than RE5. Like, RE5's not bad if you can only play one Resident Evil and it's not Resident Evil 7. You can get the Resident Evil 5 gold version and have almost as good of an experience. But the level layouts, the story, the enemies, just the memorability. I ran through all of RE5, and throughout the whole game I kept saying, I just don't remember this, because there's so many interactions and sections that are not really that memorable, particularly when you compare it to RE4. I guess if you never played RE4, you might remember more of RE5. Yeah, I'm just watching Ada Wong run around, play the game, and looking at their interface. There was nothing wrong with their RE4 interface either. I don't know why they changed it so drastically by the time they got to RE6. It's just like Sonic Team. It's just another Japanese team of people making games that they don't know particularly what they're doing. Or they just don't do good jobs, and you take a series that was probably the best game of the year, RE4, may have been the best game for several years if I was going to argue that, and instead of improving on it or at least maintaining quality, they created a degrading degraded quality of gameplay. It'll probably be at the very least a year or two before they finish redrawing all the textures. But it does say something that that they're working on the DLC part, because that means they're probably closer to the end than I would have thought. I might as well kill one of these guys. Let's see. Moving on to the next story. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a fighting game for everyone, according to Eurogamer. I'd heard about this. FighterZ apparently has a button mashing functionality to it, where you can just kind of button mash and it will activate an auto combo that look decent and look cool for a few seconds. If you had one player that was playing with auto combos and just button mashing, and the other player knew actual moves and looked at the move list, the player that looked at the move list would almost certainly do more damage, and so the system isn't broken from the word go, but it is a little strange. Let's see what this does. Kill that guy. And then this one. And then that one. And then that one. And we'll stop that guy. Do that and end the turn. I don't know if that really is news. I guess it sort of is. Like, people probably want to know how playable Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to be. I've started keeping a slight eye on Dragon Ball Super airing on Toonami, just to see if that series is ever gonna go anywhere. It probably isn't. Like, Dragon Ball as a TV series was never great quality content in the first place. We were just young and didn't see it. So this next story is rather strange. PlayStation characters are going to get amiibo-like figurines, which is weird because while the Switch does support amiibos, it's not been pushed very heavily since the Switch release. So the thing, I guess, is they're not so amiibo-like because they don't have any NFC capabilities and you can't scan them into any kind of system. So basically there's just going to be a toy line of PlayStation things. And that feels like something that wouldn't have been allowed under the old people in charge. And it's licenses to ThinkGeek. So ThinkGeek's going to make the toys and sell them. I recently bought something from ThinkGeek, and it seems like you have to buy quite a lot from ThinkGeek to get free shipping and handling. Like $75, which makes it hard to justify purchasing things. I only need to play 2 more Murlocs. I would be a lot happier with this idea if, one, Sony and the PlayStation series had a lot more memorable characters. Like number 1 is Sackboy from Little Big Planet. Number 2 is Wipeout, a Wipeout ship. Number 3 is Crash Bandicoot. Sony doesn't care about Crash Bandicoot anymore. Like Heihachi from Taken 7, the Hunter from Bloodborne. There probably won't even be a Demon Souls or Dark Souls, and Parappa the Rapper, which the most recent Parappa the Rapper game played like garbage, so it would have been better for them to actually make that game work than license out the character. There definitely should be like one game that has the QR codes on the back or the base of the characters. You don't need NFC. Nintendo went a little overboard with the NFC thing. You could have just put QR codes on the base, and then a camera should be on the Switch, which I'm pretty sure there a camera on the Switch? I think there is, or there's like something like an IR camera on the Joy-Con, which you could probably take an IR code, and there may not be a camera on the Switch just for privacy concerns, come to think of it. But the PlayStation Eye could scan those things, or you could put a low power Bluetooth chip in them. That would be a little bit more expensive to NFC something, but there should be some kind of collectible game, some kind of Smash Brothers style game, something there. Well, all these guys are gonna die. Let's see, Deadshot says, right dude, gotta go, take care. I subbed, don't worry. I thought you were already subbed, honestly. Yeah, as a slight request, I'd request people not unsub and sub again, because that bug on YouTube where that potentially would cause you to lose subscribers probably still exists. So if you're subbed, stay subbed, click the notification bell. If anything, it's gonna hurt me. Yeah. Speaking of Resident Evil, Hideki Kojima has said that he puts his trust in the remake team of Resident Evil 2, despite the fact that he's not involved. So pretty much he just doesn't care, which is fair enough. Like, I could see a lot of people after spending 4+ years developing a game to never wanting to touch that game again. Resident Evil 2 is kind of the odd one because its characters, I don't know. I came in on RE4. The remake of RE1 did improve things, but you really can't do too much to RE1 without completely redoing the whole series, which is what I think they probably should have done. And RE2 is similar ways. So if this RE2 remake goes way off the script and the levels are better thought out, the enemies function completely different, the general story is the same, like the story's not great in any Resident Evil game, but I think you gotta stick with it, and the characters need to be the same, but you could change the levels and rethink things and it wouldn't be too bad. Don't introduce too many new enemies, don't introduce too many new gameplay mechanics. There are parts in RE6 that if they went back to the RE4 inventory system and health system, would have improved that game drastically. So if there was some distant point in a few decades where they say, we're going to remake RE6 and do it right this time, you could probably do that. So I'll be disappointed on January. When does this come? It's the 25th anniversary. Happened, I believe, yesterday for RE2, and so it came out January 21st, 1998. I'll be a little disappointed if the remake comes out and it's just the exact same game, the exact same layout, the exact same small hallways and areas, the exact same number of enemies, exact same stumbling around of zombies. They really need to take the spirit of the thing and throw away 90% of what the game was and make a modern game, not just remake an old game. Imagine for a second if Super Mario Brothers was remade as a modern game. That would be New Super Mario Brothers, certainly, with the cat suit and all that craziness. And I would like to actually play New Super Mario Brothers. That's just one of the many Nintendo games that I'll never play. But who knows? With the YouTube demonetization, now would be the perfect time for people to start playing Nintendo games, wouldn't it? Who cares? Get into that Nintendo partner program and let Nintendo take half of your money, because then you wouldn't be in the YouTube partner program, you'd be in the Nintendo partner program. So we'll see what happens there. Alright, that was the Asian account. No, wait. No, that wasn't. So do I want a victory with the Shaman, or do I want to play the Hunter? Hunter class cards would make the most sense. So let's see if this Hunter deck is a good Hunter deck to play. YouTube advertisers retweeted this article where YouTube partnered with creative agencies to tell 6-second versions of classic tales of at the Sundance Film Festival, from Cinderella to Little Film Fest, Little Red Riding Hood. So what's funny here is in the middle of them YouTube not caring about short videos, because you're never going to get 4,000 watch hours on a 6-second video. Also, by the way, you wouldn't be able to monetize a 6-second video on YouTube, and you wouldn't have ever been able to do that. They're promoting the art form of telling short stories in a visual format, basically. Extremely short stories, like haiku-esque short stories. So YouTube advertisers, as they're speaking out of one side of their mouth, is saying, yes, there is value in creating these this type of content, and in their other side of their mouth, they're saying, no, there's no value in creating short content that doesn't allow us to monetize and get watch time. And inherently, this was the problem with them switching to watch time as being a metric that was important in the first place. Yeah. But yes, that will just degenerate down into another rant if I stay on that topic too long, so let's just move on. Far Cry 5 system requirements have been revealed. What are they? The minimum for 720p low settings visuals on a PC is Windows 7 Service Pack 1 8.110 64-bit versions only. an Intel Core i5 2400 at 3.1 gigahertz. Mine is an i7 at 3.3 gigahertz, 6 or 8 core processor. I think it's a 6 core. I think I made a mistake buying a 6 core. I should have bought an 8 core, but they may have been too expensive at the time. And an NVIDIA GTX 670 graphics card, or AMD equivalent. I'm skipping over the AMD equivalents for the CPU and GPU, and 8 gigabytes of RAM. So that's a pretty high amount of RAM for the minimum. The recommended is an i7 4770 and a GTX 970. That's for 1080p 60 frames per second at high settings. Of course, if I'm recording content, I need to be above the recommended, and I have a 970, so I'm not above it. So if I could afford it, it'd be time to upgrade. Honestly. And they want 8 gigabytes of RAM again. Same operating system. So also the i7 4770 is at 3.4 gigahertz, which is 0.1 gigahertz less than what I have. So my computer, a year plus in, is looking a little longer in the tooth than it should. The 4K OK settings want you to run Windows 10 only, and the i7 6700 at 3.4 gigahertz, and a GTX 1070 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. So now they want you to have more RAM. And then the 4K Wowzer settings, 60 frames per second at the high ultra settings, wants you to have an i7 6700 at 3.4 at 4 gigahertz. So it's the same processor, but they want you to buy one that's at a higher rate because of the binning. So a 4 gigahertz for 4K at 60 frames per second, which is quite a lot. And they want you to have a GTX 1080 SLI. I don't know why are the 1080s really labeled SLI still? I thought they stopped doing that. Interesting. Officially supported NVIDIA cards are the GTX 600, 700, 900, and 10 series. And officially supported AMD cards are the 200, 300, 400, and Vega series. Now, I'm not sure I'd specifically upgrade my system just to play Far Cry, if I'm going to be fair. But that it is certainly something to think about. Let's go ahead and attack with this one and see what happens. Man, I had so much news. The Hearthstone tournament ended. The Taiwanese player Tom60229 won the world championship. It didn't seem like your choose your champion pick in this instance actually affected how many card packs you got. Or maybe my champion just lost in the first round, and that's the reason for that. The Prime Minister of Taiwan specifically tweeted his congratulations to Tom. So congratulations to him. I'm not sure how much congratulations you really give and how actual competitive Hearthstone really is. I guess it sort of is. Dead by Daylight, a game that for all intents and purposes is kind of dead. Same as the Friday the 13th game. And what was the other one? Predator? No. Prey? No. I only remember the one that came several months before that. Dead by Daylight, though, is teasing the Jigsaw character, the character from the Saw movies, is going to be in the game, which doesn't make a lot of sense because Jigsaw as a character is an old man dying of cancer, and so he's not the appropriate style of villain to be chasing people. So it seems like they're using one of the side helper characters of Jigsaw as the victim, as the person who will be chasing it. So I think Amanda is what they've done. They've made Amanda in the pig mask be the Saw character, not the person who actually was Jigsaw, which I guess that works slightly better. But nothing is going to save Dead by Daylight as a game. PC Gamer has a game called Faeland, F-A-E-L-A-N-D, that's a good-looking Metroidvania coming to Kickstarter soon, according to PC Gamer. Now, the fact that there's any announcement of a game that's not even on Kickstarter yet just tells me this is an advertisement post. To be fair, looking at this trailer, the animation does kind of have an old school, I would say 16-bit, I'm trying to use that as a phrase more for 8-bit games with more of a color palette and slightly zoomed in larger characters. Faeland makes me think that it might be a fairy based game, because fae there's another term for fairy. So I guess I'll follow this guy on Twitter and see if he ever does anything. See if he annoys me enough for me to mute. Minecraft had 74 million active players in December, a new record for the game. Maybe all those YouTubers that decide to give up on their dreams of being a YouTube career decide just to play Minecraft instead. That wouldn't be fair at all, because this was December before the announcement came out. There was some new stuff added to Minecraft. It now would be the time, if I really cared, to go back and look at Minecraft again and see at the new updates. There's been a decent amount of things added, but nothing super special. The biggest thing is the new characters, new enemies. They don't do anything with the redstone, and that's the part where I would have preferred. I clicked on somebody's Twitter feed because of something. It was probably because of the guy who died, and I wanted to make sure I got that mentioned. Yeah, because I have no other reason why I'd be following that Twitter feed, or I'm not following it. I just have it open. This is odd. In Twitter, if the background color and theme is changed for whatever person's page you're on, like the notification, the tweet, the following buttons all change that color. Seems strange that you'd let somebody besides the person who actually has to look at the website determine how your website's going to look. Let's see. PlayStation announced an official shoe. Nike based. It's a Nike PG2 PlayStation shoe. Yeah, this is just full evidence that the Nintendo, well, not Nintendo, Sony has totally given up and they just don't care. Whoever's in charge now does not see how tacky this seems to a Western audience to have official PlayStation shoes and official PlayStation toys, and they're just going to sell everything. And these little side indicators aren't the real problem. The real problem is that the PSN store is getting flooded with garbage achievement hunting asset flip games, and there's no quality control. Meanwhile, there's not really any funding for a lot of new games coming to the Sony PlayStation, and like God of War is taking a little too long to get released. The remake of Shadow of the Colossus is only going to take you so far because it's just a remake. We needed new content. Uncharted is off the table. Sony needed to woo good indie developers to bring their games to the PlayStation instead of the Switch, or both, and it needed to woo some of the and fund some original content that were exclusives to the PlayStation and PC. Meanwhile, Xbox also is kind of rested on its laurels and doesn't have a ton of original content. Neither one of those consoles have a great exclusive lineup, and I would prefer that to not be the case. Oh, by the way, the Taiwanese Prime Minister, his name is, let's see, Tsai, Tsai Ing-wen, ING-WEN. That way I just get that information accurate. Here's a video of the first 15 minutes of the Shadow of the Colossus remake, which inherently that was exactly what I'm talking about. This game is not finished, and it's not going to take you as far as you think it will. And if Shadow of the Colossus remake came to PC, I would play it. I would love it. It'd be great. But it's not enough. As a PC gamer in particular, I'm just skipping through the video. I don't even care enough to watch it. If there were plenty of like Sony PlayStation funded games instead of Square Enix games coming to the PlayStation and PC, if there were actual Sony developed and published games coming to PS4 and PC, I would like to be able to sing the praises of Sony and say they do a good job and that they fund good products and develop good products, but it's just not the case. Let's see. I've hit a point where a lot of these articles are repeating, so that might mean I'm closer to being finished with the news than I thought. Let's do this. Do this. And then do this. and then end the turn. DX2 Shin Megami Tensei Liberation is now available in Japan for the iOS App Store and Google Play. So that's just a cell phone game, but it's only in Japan. I don't know if any of these cell phone games are ever going to come to the West. And that's going to be weird when there's entire stories and plot lines that just don't get added to the main canon of the Western versions of a game. The Screen Actors Guild Awards happened, and there's not a ton of things to say here, but apparently the Beverly Hills 90210's Andrea Zuckerman is the Screen Actors Guild president. Now, how do you get to that? Well, let's see. If you're in a union, which is what the Screen Actors Guild pretty much is, the SAG-AFTRA, then it's made up and run by members of the union, so actors. So of all the actors, they probably figured out who was most active and most reliable and voted for that person. And apparently she looks a lot older now than she did in 1990 when that TV drama was happening. But certainly there are articles and moments. I've been watching the Twitter moments, and that's where I got that story. I'm going to have to mute it though, because there's just too much non-video game news that I don't care about in the implementation of Twitter moments. Olivia Munn shuts down talk about that she's dating Chris Pratt. Now, Olivia Munn is an interesting lady. Where she was on Attack of the Show originally. And she pretended, I don't know, was Olivia Munn the one that pretended like she was a nerd, or actually was a nerd? Let me look at her Twitter and see if I can remember. She was on G4, and that's where I recognize her from. She was one of the hostess. G4 and Attack of the Show particularly were cynical attempts to grab the latest generation's attention that sadly succeeded a lot better than they should have. You had people on there like Adam Sessler, who I would argue were like actual professional video game critics that cared about the industry on G4, and then you had some presenters that were there just because they were a pretty face. I mean, Adam Sessler is never going to be accused of being a pretty face, frankly. Being a bald, past his middle-aged man. And G4 failed as a channel because of ridiculous expectations on the channel. And it was borne out in a way that they were going to change it to something completely different, and then they didn't do anything, and so now it, I think, still exists and just runs cops reruns 24/7. I guess I need to applaud her though. She's doing her part to not be part of a gossip ring and bring up things that don't matter. There were definitely, though, at least one or two actors, actresses in particular, that didn't didn't care about video games or nerd culture at all and just pretended. A lot of them went to the Nerdist and Geek and Sundry after that. Yeah, I guess I'm not saying hate any of them. Just recognize that sometimes actors and actresses pretend to be into nerd stuff to convince people to be in that same nerd stuff, and they really don't care. Like, I'm sure all the Star Wars and Star Trek actors really aren't that into Star Wars and Star Trek, and they just pretend like they're. Heck, if anything, I'd say maybe you should subscribe to Olivia Munn, because she posts a decent number of photo shoots of herself in bikinis. But she certainly posts talks. A lot of talking things too. So I guess I have to walk away from her Twitter page and just say, you know what, I don't remember that much about her, other than she was a pretty face. And I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like her. It's just kind of the case. And frankly, that's probably true for a lot of things. OpenCritic did a tweet that I saw this week in gaming, January 12th to 18th, which is weird because I've been subscribed to OpenCritic and I haven't seen any other posts like this. So OpenCritic was supposed to be this idea of helping me with their calendar to see more things that happened, but really didn't work that way. Anybody that has their own website can be a critic, but you have to publish and write articles and have a score system. So it is more of a open form of Metacritic. I suppose maybe there will be slightly more people doing written reviews of video games instead of doing video let's plays of video games, but I imagine that won't change that much, honestly. More than likely what would happen is people would just go to Twitch. The people who can write articles about video games aren't super welcome because not that many people want to read articles about video games. They'd much rather see the interactive video audio visual experience in exampled form on a video audio platform. So yeah, I bet not that much changes. And frankly, I'm just being kind of pathetic to always bring everything back to YouTube kicking out small YouTubers at this point, because that story really didn't connect. PC Gamers has a article what the esports winners spend their money on. I bet more of it is on liquor and drugs and partying than you would expect. In fact, here's a picture of the most recent winner of the Hearthstone player with a stage scene of empty bottles behind him. They aren't supposed to be... Well, I guess they are supposed to be alcohol battles because this is a tavern brawl, so the set is designed to look like a tavern. But that's just a funny coincidence. I'm sure a lot of them pay for school. A lot of them come from countries that the winnings might pay for the many family members you might have. It may simply be if you get one victory a year, that might be enough to pay for a year's worth of income. Well, they're saying a first place victory might be $250,000, which is, 5 years if you only get one first place, and $50,000 is what a 5th place victory might be in some tournaments. 50,000 is about a year's salary in the United States. It's about 10,000 more than most people would get. But so yeah, you just pay for your life and hopefully you save that money. It's not football money. It's not you getting millions and millions of dollars. But it is that same mentality, certainly, where you're only going to get paid for the 4 or 5 years that you're competitive, and then after those 4 or 5 years, your thumbs are going to be arthritic and you're going to move too slow. Maybe not in Hearthstone, but certainly in things like StarCraft, that's the case. The PlayStation 4 has a shoot 'em up called Mahana Suyu Makayu. I'm not going to bother to spell that. It's coming out January 25th. Let's watch the trailer, see if that's of any interest. And magical girls flying around in a shoot 'em up. Yeah, we've... tell me if you've heard this one before. Honestly, I just don't think I could ever get into the shoot 'em up genre. I don't know if that's just me personally, or if that's just Western people. Like, it's just a niche that does not interest me. Let's see. Here, the creators of Theme Hospital announced that they were making a spiritual successor of Theme Hospital. So there's an article on Eurogamer talking about how Theme Hospital is still a great game. It just looks like an old game to me. It doesn't look like anything I would specifically want to play. Maybe I already own it, but I don't think there's going to be enough interest in that game that would ever make me think that it was worth mentioning or playing or covering. Probably to nobody's surprise who's been paying attention, Metal Gear Survive, which is a game that had almost no chance of being good in the first place, has microtransactions and requires constant online connection. Yeah. Go Konami. The one last game you're making and you're going to try to do microtransactions and constant online DRM. The free-to-play MMO Rift has added a new subscription server free of loot boxes, which this is an interesting change because that means it's 2 separate games. One where you play free-to-play and you get loot boxes to get what you want, and one where you're actually having fun. to editorialize there. I don't fully know if this would work as an idea. I think you're probably running twice as many servers then, and it's probably going to be a bad business decision. The thing that I would wonder is there a way to get a loot box on the free-to-play server that would, even 1 out of 1 billion times, give you a month's subscription service to the subscription server? Because if it ever did that, then that is the direct admittance that the loot boxes suck and they're just there to milk the players out of money. But I guess that's kind of what they're already saying, is that the loot boxes suck. But that being said, I don't know. Like, there's probably a lot of poor people out there that would be willing to put up with loot boxes to play a game that's good. I don't know if Rift is good. That's the other part that will be very questionable. I only need to play a few of these, so I'm going to play like, let's say 4 more cards and then concede. I still have a ton of news to do, or it seems like I do. Depends on how many of these are ready to do. Let's do that. And we'll take this. There you go. Silent Hills PT teaser has been remade as a fan remake on PC. There's 2 early prototypes that you can download. The thing there is I don't feel like it's a finished product, and this is one of those things where they should not have mentioned anything until they were done. I'm watching a video of them actually moving around the 3D textures that either they stole or they hand reanimated from the playable teaser. It's possible that maybe you can decrypt games on the PlayStation and decrypt it and depack it in such a way that you could get individual assets. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But he is moving every single item by hand to line up with, I imagine he's looking at some kind of reference art, referencing PT. But it looks like PT. The question is, does it play like PT? Because you're going to have to reprogram everything there too. Let's see. In a weird way, there's kind of no reason for this. Like, why not program something like PT and finish the game instead of just following or trying to replay that short experience that it'll just never be that. It'll never be that way again. Let's see. Play this and this and that. Let's see. Apparently the DARPA chief contacted Dan Reichert of Giant Bomb. Let's see. Let's see if apparently contacted is a bit of an exaggeration. Dan Reichert apparently tweeted and mentioned DARPA, and then DARPA replied, "Oh, the DARPA chief of staff is plenty real. He assesses the technical merits and risks of proposed and current projects, providing advice on technology strategies. He also guides, supervises, and coordinates the agency's planning and operates." MGS left that part out. So, who said what? Oh, so Dan was just being stupid, which he does, and I think part of it is Dan is kind of comedically ignorant on many things, but also I think he just plays it up too. So in some video, Dan Reichert said, "Is the DARPA chief of staff real?" And DARPA responded, "Not real news." That's what we might call fake news, in the sense that Dan Reichert, a video game reporter, created his own news, and then Giant Bomb, the company he works for, reported on that news. go. Yee's 8 Lacrimosa of Diana's PC release was delayed indefinitely because of performance woes. See, this is the other side of the coin. For many, many months in 2017 and pretty much the second half of 2017, we were seeing so many games get announced for PC that were from Japan, and now it feels like the worm has turned and they're going to come back and say, oh, we can't get the performance, we don't know how to program on PCs, it's just not our forte. I guess I should have done this on it. Yeah, I guess that would have made more sense. So I hope this isn't the beginning of a new trend. It is better for them to delay a game indefinitely and fix the bugs and not release a piece of garbage PC port. It's bad if this is just the first step to them saying it's never coming into PC. Or it's really bad if they never plan to bring it to PC and they haven't put any work on it at all. And that was just all a lie in the first place to get more sales. If it was a lie in the first place to get more sales, then why change the lie? Why not delay it a few months and then delay it again, then delay it again? Why? It seems like there's a level of honesty if you're going to say it's delayed indefinitely because we actually want to fix the bugs. So we're over here to the Americas account, and we very rarely get to the Americas account and still have news to talk about instead of going to a muted post show play. Let's see. Need to play Beasts and win with the Druid and Hunter. And honestly, if I just win with the Druid and Hunter, I'll get 2 of these done anyways. So let's just try to get all 3 of them done. Why not? We're getting packs because of the Choose Your Champion experience thing. So we got another epic, which probably isn't a duplicate. And we have a gold that I can disenchant for dust. So let's see, new. And we've got this one. Disenchant that golden common for 50 dust, which that's quite a lot. And we now have only you can target this with spells and hero powers. Not a terrible card, honestly. Like, for a wild deck or for a current standard deck, this makes a lot of sense. Let's see, Beast and Hunter deck. Yeah, we've got something here. And we'll play casual so we get some victories. We can actually just play casual, standard, and maybe get more victories because of that. I have the YouTube Partners program, Twitter up. Why do I have it up? YouTube creators at YT creators is tweeting and promoting people. There, I believe, is a okay, so here's my confusion. I was a little confused about this because I saw the phrase YouTuber of the Year and I didn't see the blue part that was highlighted. So creator activists at Jackie Anil, LeBron's James. What? Who? I have no idea who this is, but they they were named the NAACP YouTuber of the Year, and that's why I had that open, is because I was like, wait a minute, there's a YouTuber of the Year award? I've never heard of this. Like, why would they give out YouTube awards? And basically, though, like, the announcement to the changes of the YouTube Partner Program happened January 18th. No, I think it happened 17th, because that's when they started responding. Yeah, right after Martin Luther King on the 15th, and then there's several posts of them trying to defend their decision on the 16th and 17th, and then they tried to change the subject after putting out one video on the 18th to the 20th. It's just NAACP YouTuber of the World. Congratulations to another YouTuber who got 4 million subscribers. Promoting another video, promoting another video, promoting another video. And they have a pin to update on the changes, but they're not going to adjust it anymore. They've learned to just be silent on the matter, and that's going to work for them better than anything else. A game I've never heard of called Endless Space 2 has unveiled a DLC called The Vaulters. So I guess if you're into that, the Endless Space 2, that's cool for you. Endless Space, to me, looks like it's just a... Well, some of these cutscenes actually look like they might be slightly interesting. It's due out January 25th. It's rated E10. It's from Sega. There you go. It's also on Steam. So I guess I'll check out Endless Space 2 and just double check. High chance I won't be interested in playing it, but maybe. Eurogamer has an article, speedrunning Mario has transformed the way I play games. Honestly, speedrunning any modern open world Mario game is kind of pointless. I tried to make an analogy several hours ago of what if Super Mario Brothers, the original, was remade, but it was just newer graphics and barely changed at all. How bad of an experience would that be compared to what New Super Mario Brothers was, which was a pretty good reimagining of the game. But of course, Nintendo knows not to remake Super Mario Brothers as just a HD upgrade, because that's not going to work at all. But speedrunning even the old Mario game has probably been done to death. I don't see videos of that happening on Summer Games Done Quick or Winter Games or the European speedruns. Just because I'm sure it's been done. Tangle Deep. Did I already talk about Tangle Deep? Pretty dungeon crawler Tangle Deep shoots out of early access February 1st. No, I haven't talked about Tangle Deep, and I don't see anything super interesting about it either. Them calling it pretty is, I think, a misstatement. It looks like 8-bit graphics. Uh, and there's a dungeon crawler. And I didn't even like dungeon crawlers when dungeon crawlers were a big thing. I certainly am not going to like them now. And it looks like the menus are massive and complicated. Yeah, there really is nothing here I like. I am not saying anything. But if you're interested, it's on Steam. It's $15. Tangle Deep. Out of early access. Why a dungeon crawler game even needed to be in early access is yet another good question to ask. And moving on. Keep loading these pages. Total War Warhammer 2 is powering up the Bretonnia when the Tomb Kings arrive, so that's the title from Rock Paper Shotgun. I think what that means, if I was to guess, is that a DLC for Total War Warhammer 2 is out there. I'm not sure I'd ever want to play that game, but yeah. Yeah, this is Total War Warhammer 2's first expansion, the Tomb Kings. So if you're into that game, there's that information. I feel like I'm kind of running out of steam here, and I'm glad I'm close to being done with the news because I've been talking non-stop for several hours, and this is certainly why it's the reason in a nutshell that I don't just talk throughout the whole thing and I go into the muted post show. Play that. Netflix's Castlevania animated series season 2 premieres this summer. It will consist of 8 episodes, but if they're as short as the previous season, like I really burned through the 6 episodes story that was really just a prelude to season 2. And I didn't find anything super interesting on it. Not being a super fan of Castlevania hurts, I imagine. Also, this isn't going to be a great anime series compared to several other things on Netflix. And there will be this comparison to Devilman Crybaby, which was recently released on Netflix, at least in America. So that'll be an issue too. So yeah, I'll probably watch it just because it's short, but it's not going to be great. Alright, here's an article we can save for later. Apple reversed course and approved an app that detects net neutrality violations. Not like there's any law or rule that says they can't violate net neutrality since it's been shut down, but I guess at first Apple was going to say you couldn't have that app. I don't know how many people are going to install that app and what that's really going to do or change anything. The Humble Bundle Hope for Orphans has 17 hours to go. So I never saw any games on there worth getting. But if you haven't checked it out yet, I guess now would be your last chance. There's no other Humble Bundle store thing right now, which is slightly interesting. The Twitch, like, I don't know exactly how you would get it to Twitch. Maybe you can type in www.twitch.tv/rydo_of_all, so Twitch TV/Rydo of all, and that would take you to my Twitch thing. The first presentation, which is just my intro, will come out at 10. I don't think that I'm using all the features because I don't have any subscribers, so maybe I need a few people to subscribe to my Twitch thing so I know how the scheduling and preloading of premieres, since this is their new system, actually works. Right now, I have no clue how it works. Boy, my voice is getting rough. That's not going to work well when I go back to playing Nancy Drew, Lights, Camera, Curses, which is what I'm playing right now. I'm taking a slight break before I hit the DLC of Resident Evil 5. It also has occurred to me, and I'm thinking about this, and I'll look for feedback over several streams. I'm thinking maybe in April of going to daily releases. Like, my videos aren't getting watched anyways, but they might be getting recommended less because I'm not releasing things on Saturday and Sunday. So instead of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday release and then giving people the weekends off, just releasing pre-recorded footage every day at a specific time. As I'm moving forward and doing 30-minute episodes and making shorter content that runs a longer amount of time over the days and weeks, I'm getting more content that would kind of work with. Let's see what this is. Yeah, I'm still trying to learn YouTube. Well, I'm still trying to learn Twitch. What was this? I don't think I need that. And then this program, I think it's called youtube-2-twitch.rootonline.de. I think that's what you have to go to, is what I found. There might be a better system out there. It really is going to come down to whether Twitch deletes videos after 30 days for me or not. If it does, then Twitch is still a no-go. If it doesn't, then maybe. Let's see. Game of Sutra has a blog of asking if could we get people to have a quality assurance degree instead of just hiring people who think that they can be game testers and quality assurance people. It's an interesting thought. The whole college system probably needs to be rethought, but like having 4 years or more behind you to prove you know what you're doing when you're trying to do quality assurance and you're not just making things up or working blindly. It has an appeal. I've certainly played a lot of buggy games, so if games got less buggy because of that, that'd be great. I am back on my Twitter. Ooh, this is kind of a genius PC design. somebody built a PC case just using metal frame, like metal shelving. So while it would be open air and prone to getting dusty, it would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's probably your open air cooling your PC too much at that point, and that would certainly not stop any noise. And for me, on my PCs, the noise is the number one issue. Hmm. So I'm scrolling down my Twitter feed to see if there's anything else. John Cena in talks to star in a new Duke Nukem film. You're gonna have to rewrite Duke Nukem. Like, John Cena is too much of the good guy. He's not gonna play a character like Duke Nukem as he was written in Duke Nukem Forever in the previous games. But honestly, if they could get John Cena in a movie playing Duke Nukem so they could then recharacterize Duke Nukem as somebody that is likable and not offensive, that might work. I'm about to lose again. Of course, I can just cheat this account and play against myself. The Evil Within aired 45 minutes ago on my channel. Might as well reference and mention. Might as well shill my stuff. I can't believe this worked. What is this? There's like a Cartoon Network game. It's called OKKO Let's Play Heroes. Oh yeah, that's that cartoon where everybody in the city is a hero. And there's like hero cards you have to collect. Here's a picture of Minnie Mouse as a minifig. I thought Minnie Mouse already was a minifig. If you bought the Disney Princess Castle, that's gigantic. Hey, I guess I wanted to get that one too. That take forever. So what do I need? 2 more victories. Let's do one more as I'm still looking. Because who knows? ASUS launches a 7.1 surround headset with synchronized RGB lighting. That's probably overkill. Escape 100 alien world in the sci-fi survival game Symmetry. We'll look at that. All of these streams go so long that by the time I'm done streaming, I'm on to the there's at least a couple new things to say, depending on what day of the week it is. Kerber Battle Royale is now out. Even without price gouging, most NVIDIA graphic cards cost more now than they do in 2016. Well, is that including inflation or excluding that? I imagine even including inflation, they've gotten more expensive. Hmm. I definitely don't want to see a system in which the the cost of playing games in good quality, like 1080p quality, gets more expensive as console gaming gets more expensive. Because, like, if you want to play a PS4 or an Xbox One now, without getting a used PS4 or an Xbox One, you're still paying at least $300. Whereas, at a certain point, at least, you could pay $250 to get an Xbox One or an Xbox 360 or PS3. And I don't want to see the cost of gaming go up higher and leave people in the lurch as people that just can't afford to be fans of the things they love. I thought maybe one of the Rise of the Tomb Raider episodes aired at the wrong time. If anybody feels like that's the case, let me know. I'll double check. When I double checked it, it looked like it was fine. One of the things about the marathon video that I did on Saturday is the just vast amount of processing time it takes for that video to be reviewable after the live stream is really high. And comments, I didn't see any of the comments till the end, and they don't transfer over. But that stream did get me 49 views, so if I were to take every Saturday off for some reason, which I don't think I could do, that a live stream like that would probably get me more views than half of all my other content during the weekend. Minecraft Education Edition introduces a chemistry update. I kind of want to see what that's about. See, that's crazy that somebody is spending effort to program the Education Edition differently than everything else. People are big into Android 21, the newest character in Dragon Ball FighterZ, Fight Z, which looks like a female version of Boo. Owlboy 12 aired. Not a game I particularly liked, but still worth people watching. Heck, there's a lot of games I play that at the end of it I'm like, okay, I was either not satisfied at all with that game or barely satisfied. I'm still scrolling down. OBS has an update. I'm not gonna update right now though. I'm gonna wait for them to iron out the kinks. And I believe that's about it. Let's see. And I got a new follower on Twitter, which doesn't mean much, and 2 people liked my thing. That doesn't really mean much either. So, what are we looking for right now? Victories? Just go ahead and kill that. I should have hit him with this one. That was poor playing on my part. Oh, it did come to my attention that apparently Randy Pitchford put some money into the National Video Game Museum. That's why the National Video Game Museum is in Frisco, Texas, across the city from the Gearbox Studios. For the most part, though, he seems to not be connected to it, and Randy Pitchford is just all over the wall with things he's interested in, and then not interested in, and then interested in something different. So, like, I am not immediately assuming that the National Video Game Museum is going to fail just because he's involved. It may struggle to succeed a little bit more in the same way that Randy Pitchford can potentially steer a ship in the wrong direction. I would argue. Alien Colonial Marines being a great example. This game's Symmetry is a survival management game about crash spaceship and living and an alien horror. Let's watch the trailer. Draw a card. Play a beast. It's a flat 2D slide scrolling management style kind of point and click adventure looking game. Seems kind of devoid of details in its animation style. Like big white empty floors and ceilings. It seems like when things change, there's just a glitch interface that happens on top of the current scene. The menu doesn't seem that complicated as far as the management game. Yeah, Symmetry doesn't strike me as something that would be super interesting to play. It looks like a big, boring, empty game, if anything. Let's see. Peggy has rated Mercenary Kings for Xbox One. That's all we know about it. Anytime I get a link to Peggy, that means there's very little information about it. Charge. Let's see. So, yeah, there's a whole different interface, like something you would expect from a well-polished mod in this Minecraft Education Edition chemistry update. Like, it's ridiculous. And I would be very upset if I was at school playing Minecraft Education Edition and I could do something, and then I went home and I tried to play it on regular edition of Minecraft and it just wasn't there. I thought they were working in the exact opposite direction to ensure that there was uniformity amongst all the editions of Minecraft, not to add new content and new things that diverge the player base. Alright, so I am done with my Twitter feed for now, and we just need to do a little bit of post-show play. Not too much. I will get on my phone and just challenge myself to games and win those games, and that'll get both of these done. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. If you're still watching, try to see if you can find me on Twitch and friend me, and let's see if we can start growing that fan base before I do anything rash like move all my videos off of YouTube and go solely on Twitch. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.